Welcome to another short video on boot dryers for Eberhart's Outdoors. It's kind of windy, so if some stuff blows around, don't pay any attention to it. I'll go pick it up. Boot dryers may not sound like a very big deal, but it's something I use all the time. I live in a cold weather climate, so I hunt in a lot of cold weather, obviously. And when your boots get wet or your socks get wet, your feet get cold quicker, no doubt about it. Moisture conducts cold far faster than air, so when your boots are dry, your feet are going to stay warmer longer as opposed to when your feet or boots are wet. Probably the prime example is if I had what I have on right now and I jumped into a lake and it was 35 degrees, I'd get hypothermia within 5 minutes and probably die. If I wore this out in 35-degree weather, yeah, I'd get really cold, and it might take a couple hours before I got hypothermia and died. So there's no doubt water, moisture conducts cold, and it conducts heat a lot faster than just air and stuff that's dry. So I'm going to start with the standard boot dryers. This here is actually a wader dryer, but it's a thermal convection dryer. So basically, this one's made by Pete, and there's 4 main manufacturers in the boot dryer. You got Pete, you got MaxDry, you got DryGuy, and you got Jobsite. MaxDry, DryGuy, and Pete are all a little bit on the upper end side. Jobsite is, for as far as a value, it's the lowest price point for the same type of heaters, if you will, boot dryers, if you will. For instance, a Pete thermal convection boot dryer that's a standard height, which is going to be about like that, they're going to be about $39 to $49, whereas a Jobsite, which is right here, it's the same thing, that's going to be I've seen them as low as $19.99 to $29.99, and they both work the same. There's a heating element in the bottom, and there's no fan. It just convects the heat up through the tube and dries your boots out. So there's no timer, there's no fan. These take a while to dry a pair of boots out, obviously depending on how wet the boots are. So these are by far the most common because most people put their boots on the dryer at night when they go to bed, and they're dry in the morning. This particular pair I have for waders and hip boots. Now this is a Jobsite. This one here, like I say, is $19.99 to $29.99. And one thing you want to make sure when you're drying a pair of boots, now these here are just some, neoprene muck boots. Everything's falling apart, but that's okay. Neoprene muck boots. You want to make sure that the throat of the boot does not ride down so low that it rides on top of the carriage of the actual machine, because then there's no place for the heat to escape. Because the way it works right now, it convects heat up into here, and then the excess air goes out the bottom. So if there's no place for that to escape, it could possibly create a fire. Could be a problem, especially if you're using it on carpet or something like that. So keep that in mind. But this is your standard, most common boot dryer. Mainly because of the price point. Now this is a Pete boot dryer that I've had for a lot of years. And this is my travel dryer. Works the same way. It's a thermal convection. What's cool about it just has a nice carry pack. So I think there's other brands that make these carry packs, and pretty much all of the thermal convection dryers are the same base size, so pretty much any boot dryer will fit in these cases. The next boot dryers would be 4-station. This here's a really old 4-station DryGuy dryer. And some of the 4-station dryers, even though they're really awesome and they've got some seriously nice features, they don't have covers over top of these front 2 thermal units. So they're basically designed for putting a pair of boots on the back and putting a pair of gloves on the front. So, because it's so rare that I do dry gloves, I've got lots of pairs of gloves, so that's not usually a big deal. I duct taped these when I first bought them, and what's cool about a forest station is they actually have a heater in them and they have a fan. So the thermal convection does not have a fan. It just permeates heat up the tubes. This one has a fan and it has a timer. So this one here you can set any place, 30 minutes up to 3 hours. And I broke the dial, and so I bought this cheap pair of vice grips for $3. And rather than buy a new dryer, I just got a $3 pair of vice grips that I use for a new dial. So it's kind of cool. And again, this DryGuy does not come with anything you can do with these front things. So either they're used for gloves, or else they just, if you don't cover them up, the heat comes out of that, so you don't get as much heat up through the back units. So if you cover those, you get more heat through the back unit. Now this is the same thing from Jobsite. And Jobsite is kind of unique because Jobsite actually comes with caps for the front two. So you can cap those front two off, or you can put, if you got pack boots, you can take the pack and put it over the front. And put the actual boot over the back. So while these other ones aren't tall enough to put a pack on, like this is right now, I can put 2 packs on here and 2 boots. Or if I choose, if I'm just using regular boots that do not have packs, I can just cap both of these fronts, and that way all the heat's coming up through the back. So this is the same thing, has a heating element in it, has a fan, has up to a 3-hour timer. And again, this one here is considerably less money. It's probably $20 to $30 on average cheaper than MaxDry, DryGuy, or Pete Forest Station. And MaxDry also makes one. Excellent quality. MaxDry, Pete, and DryGuy are excellent quality. They're just a little bit higher price point. Okay. Now this one here, I don't know if anybody else makes this other than MaxDry, to be honest with you. I've never seen them by anybody else, but this one's kind of neat because it's a 2-station, but it's very compact. And like these 4-stations, it actually has a fan, a heating element, and a timer. So the same exact thing. It's got up to a 3-hour timer and a heating element. So this is, anytime you got a fan on these things, 3 hours, you're going to dry any boots. Unless you poured water in them, if they're just wet from perspiration, they're going to be dry in 3 hours. So that's kind of cool, especially if you're hunting mornings and then you're hunting evenings and you need to wear the same boots. A lot of times if you get in from a morning hunt at 11, 12 o'clock and you're going to wear the same boots at 3 o'clock, these thermal convection heaters, they don't dry them completely. Whereas any of these other 4-stations with a fan will do that. Then for the portable guy, which I use this stuff a lot, we have, this one here is made by DryGuy. I don't know who else, if anybody else makes this or not, but this one here has extensible, I'm sorry. These do work, this is just me. They have extendable arms on them, or tubes on them, and these work off everything. So this runs off 4 C-cell batteries, or it runs off a 110 power cord, or it runs off a 12-volt power cord for the car. So this one here, you can have your boots on the passenger side, throw this in the top, run it off your 12-volt, or if you're in a tent or something like that, you can run it off your batteries. Or if you're at home, you can run it off your 12-volt if you got a plug outlet. So this one's kind of unique, and I don't use that a lot, but there's certain situations where that comes in handy because there's no other alternatives, especially the battery side. And lastly, I think all these companies make a little 12-volt kit. Basically, the 12-volt sticks in your cigarette lighter in your truck or your van, minivan in my case. And it has 2 heating elements, and basically these slide down into your boots and go up into the toe. And when as soon as you plug this thing in, these start getting hot. And they actually, you stick your hand down there, you can feel heat coming out of these things. And these will dry your boots pretty quick. 3 hours, these will dry your boots really, if you're driving for a period of time, they're going to dry them pretty quick. Because these things get really warm. I don't think I missed anything, but anyway, boot dryers, while it's not something many people talk about, it's really important, because having dry boots all the time is a big, big deal. And especially in cold weather. I've got to say this, I wear pack boots a lot. When it gets cold, you get those boots that have 1,200 or 2,000 grams of thin slit, they're worthless. All that stuff, just cram it in there. Once you cram it into a small place and it's not filled out, it's not porous, it's not fluffy inside, you've kind of lost the insulation factor of the thin slit. So when you're hunting in cold weather, there's nothing out there that's going to be as warm as a pack boot. And as I said when I did the warmer, air-activated warmer, if any of you guys are hunting in cold weather and you're bow hunting and you're ambush hunting where you're sitting on stand, this is absolutely the best, warmest hunting boot for bow hunting, because it's all rubber outer. It's got a removable pack that's really heavy, and this will keep your feet warmer than anything. And it's a bit called a Baffin Titan. Baffin is the manufacturer, Titan is the model. The company's up in Canada, and I can't speak highly enough. I've owned a lot of brands of pack boots in my day, and this is right up there at the top. And all the other ones that I've got, I own probably 4 other pair of pack boots. They don't make them anymore. A lot of companies used to make pack boots: Rocky, Lacrosse, Red Ball, Northern. There was lots of brands, and now the only ones that make them, I think Bass Pro has one made by Ranger, and those are mediocre at best. This here is definitely the best. Baffin Titans. Do yourself a favor if you're hunting in temperatures down to 0 with a toe warmer on it. These things work great. Thank you for your time once again. Thanks for watching another episode of Eberhart Outdoors, and please like and subscribe.